Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Bullets Athletic Spotlight. I'm Jen Maurer, Assistant Director of Athletic Communications here at Gettysburg College, and today we're highlighting women's basketball. So joining me today is head women's basketball coach Nate Davis, who is entering his sixth year at the helm of the program. Nate, a lot has happened since we arrived back on campus in March after the first round of the NCAA tournament last season. And who would have thought this would have been happening? Sitting here on a Zoom call interviewing you instead of interviewing you in Brame Gym like normal. But how have things been going with you and your team since March?
Wow, that's a great question. Certainly one that I don't think any of us could have expected at this point, right? That the answer I'm going to be giving you is that we've been separated a lot, doing a lot of Zoom calls and doing a lot of trying to stay connected as a team as best we can. Obviously, throughout the summer and the remainder of the spring and throughout the summer, we were all just, I think, dealing with so much of the unknown and of the pandemic and the COVID-19 situation, and just trying to, help our players get through so much of the remainder of the spring early on, their academic situations and dealing with that. And then obviously throughout the summer, trying to stay connected as a team, hopeful that we're going to have everybody back in the fall and have some semblance of practice and hopefully a season, those kind of things. So it's really been just staying connected and preparing for and being hopeful for what's to come. So obviously coming back on campus and having kind of everybody here, but not being able to do anything yet. And then, having the upperclassmen having to leave campus and now being able to have some sort of indoor in practice together has been definitely different with just first years only and one upperclassman. So it has been a whirlwind for sure. And one that I think we've all learned through this to not take anything for granted and just to know that only today is promised and we're going to try to make the best out of it. And so that's kind of been our mentality as we try to stay connected and stay on the same page and hopeful for the things to come, but trying to make the best of the opportunities we have right in front of us.
Yeah, so looking back a little bit last year, another outstanding season, finished the runner-up in the Centennial Conference Championship, earned your third trip to the NCAA tournament, had a program in Centennial Conference record of 19 straight wins. So how are you keeping the team motivated during this time with the unknown?
Right. Yeah. It's definitely a challenge. There's no doubt about it. Like everybody's dealing with right now. I think the success that we've had is important to some extent because I think our players, want to maintain it and they want to, so they have that motivation to try to, stay where we are and not lose ground with obviously many of the teams that are trying to beat us. So we're trying to, keep that motivation going, keep, the expectations and trying to help inform our players of what they need to do to maintain, to the best of their abilities in everybody's unique situation. Yeah, I think the past success has been a positive because I think our players are motivated to, continue to prove it year in and year out that Gettysburg College women's basketball is a program that you're going to have to be prepared to go against. So that's kind of been our mentality, and we have some amazing players, people that are committed, people that work extremely hard. So as a coach, it makes obviously my life a lot easier and a little less complicated to know that we have players that are doing everything they can to maintain what they've built. So, as coaches, we're just trying to do everything we can to support them in that effort for sure.
Yeah, and as I just touched, again, runner-up last season in the conference tournament, third straight trip to the NCAA, national rankings. You've had quite the 5 years of seasons at Gettysburg, and I'm sure I'm missing many more. Oh, you won the Centennial Conference Championship in 2018. You've been Conference Coach of the Year. So looking back at your career at Gettysburg so far, what have been some of your top moments?
Wow. That's a great question. I appreciate you asking that. Obviously, you know, it's really when I think of the moments, the games and those kind of things are great. But honestly, probably the best moments are just the relationships we built with the individuals that have been through in our program. Some that, coming here initially, I didn't recruit, so I didn't have that relationship building time. But just their willingness to accept me as their coach and to take on what we asked them to do as coaches. And so I think that's probably the thing that I love the most about what I've gotten to do here at Gettysburg is just the people that I've gotten to meet and work with. It just makes it so much more rewarding to see and help them accomplish the goals that they really set out to do as individuals. So that's probably the best memories I have. Honestly, obviously we're competitive and want to win games and I love to win. Right. But it's really the effort of striving to win that I think, and doing that together with people that are committed is just something that's really rewarding. And that's the part that kind of fuels my fire every year, is to try to help them accomplish, what they want to accomplish as a group of people. So that's probably the biggest memories I have. Obviously, yeah, you can reflect back and look at, some of the record-breaking things that our athletes have done, and that's amazing, and that's all to their credit. So just to be along for the ride it's been a lot of fun to do that.
And speaking of commitment, have an interesting or unique, I guess, perspective. You had Kaleigh Badecki as a player when you were at Eastern, and now she's coaching along beside you at Gettysburg. So how has that been, having her not only as a player, but now as a coach as well?
Yeah, well, I think every coach would agree and feels this way. I've had the privilege of knowing Kaleigh for a long time. I guess that's showing my age and maybe hers too a little bit, but I got to go through the recruiting process with her and recruit her and her family. And, and so to recruit her as an athlete and then to coach her for 4 years, she was a captain for 3 years in the program that I had there. And then to be able to extend that to Gettysburg College and to have her now working with me is just amazing. It really is. I mean, you never predict the future of this, with something like this could happen. But obviously, I appreciate her so much, and I appreciate the opportunity to work with her. I think she might be a glutton for punishment, maybe. I don't know, to want to be with me this long. But I trust her. I appreciate her. I know that she is fully committed, and she truly is one of the, in my opinion, a rising star in this profession, and just somebody that deserves a lot of credit. And I just feel really blessed to be able to work with her day in and day out. And like everything that I said earlier, we're just going to, be thankful for every day that we get the opportunity to do this and take one day at a time. And so, yeah, I think it's unique for sure. And one that we don't take for granted for sure.
Now, not only do you coach women's basketball, but you're also the head coach for a men's golf program, along with Kaleigh being the assistant for both. So how has it been juggling both for the last couple of seasons?
Yeah, it's a challenge, but obviously one that we appreciate and love. I mean, it's only expanded our opportunity to work with athletes, and that's it's just given us more athletes to work with and more student athletes to come alongside. And obviously, I came here to be the women's basketball coach, and that's what brought me here. But the opportunity to work with our men's golfers has been really cool and really special, and just a lot of really great memories on road trips with them. And, Coach K also played golf in college too. So that's, it's unique and nice in that way too, that I was her coach for golf as well. So to be able to have her working with me there, and then have her to be able to talk with the golfers and to help them through situations from personal experience. And then obviously that working ability. So we've had a lot of fun with the men's golfers. Obviously we're just, again, like I've said with everything in this interview, we're just going to take one day at a time with this, enjoy every moment we get. It's been a lot of fun so far, and we've had some success on the golf course as well, which has been fun to help them accomplish things on the golf course. But it's definitely a lot of work though too. I'm not going to lie. The seasons blend right into each other. And it starts, from the beginning of August or end of August, beginning of the semester, all the way till May. And then even later when we went to the national tournament for both sports in 2019. So it's definitely been a crazy ride, but one that has just given us so many great memories and a lot of great relationships through the process.
So now I'm going to switch it to a little more fun of questions. Obviously, we both work in college athletics, and I already know your answer to one of these questions I'm going to ask you. But for those of you watching, you may not know. So, Nate, growing up, did you have any favorite professional athletes or currently, and what are your favorite professional sports teams?
So, did I have professional athletes that I emulated or looked up to growing up? Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, sports has been a huge part of my life for sure. Growing up in the mid 70s and 80s, it was in the 70s when I was forming who I really loved. The Pittsburgh Steelers were my team. And, it was easy to like them at that time because, they won 4 Super Bowls in the 1970s. And so as a young, impressionable kid from North Central PA, I was Lynn Swan diving onto my couch, catching footballs. I was, that's who I was. So I was, Jack Lambert tackling people, probably my brother, my parents, whoever else I could do. So that was probably, the first thing that came to my mind. And certainly, as a loyal fan, through the good and the bad, and I'm still a Steelers fan to this day. So I don't usually trade or, change things up. But boy, I can remember playing wiffle ball games, and I wasn't necessarily a Mets fan, but in 1986 when they won the World Series, like I knew everybody's batting stance, and I could emulate the whole Mets lineup of everybody's swings from, Gary Carter had the open stance to Darryl Strawberry had this big looping lefty swing. So on the wiffle ball field, I was dangerous at everybody's batting stance. So those are some things that kind of come to my mind. I don't really have a baseball team that I like, and it's probably because we've moved around a little bit. But as far as basketball is concerned, man, I love the Showtime Lakers. I was, Magic Johnson was my again, when I went to the park, that's who I tried to be, whether you're backing people down in the middle of the court, setting up the offense or whatever, and just the way their style of running and up and down and making those no-look passes. And so that was kind of my team throughout the 80s. That's who I really liked. Again, the NBA has changed so much. So I can't say I'm necessarily a Lakers fan now, but I love good basketball, and when I see a team that I just like the way they play, that's kind of who I emulate or try to watch more of. Certainly the Golden State Warriors, the way they've played of recently, have just been a lot of fun to watch. So that's kind of I'm always looking. I don't watch a lot of basketball nowadays, believe it or not, because I'm watching Gettysburg women's basketball and our opponents majority through the winter, so I don't get a chance to watch a lot of other teams.
All right. So obviously, Nate, we had a lot of time at home during quarantine. So what were some hobbies that you picked up during that time?
It was definitely unexpected. My son is in the second year in college, and he was in his first year in college when this all happened. And so he was home. I had a senior in high school who was home, and a sophomore at the time in high school at home too. So last spring. And so, we were all here. My wife works from home too. So we were all at the house. One of the things I think early on that we picked up was my son and I would play what we call neighborhood golf. And so we had these we had our golf clubs and we had some foam golf balls that we would hit around the neighborhood, around our property only. So we made sure the out of bounds was outside of our property, but we would play we had a 9-hole course in our yard that we played. And so that was something that we were able to do right away. I think it made our neighbors a little bit nervous because they were afraid that we were hitting real golf balls. But once they came out and investigated and saw that we were just hitting foam golf balls, they were relieved and probably a little bit entertained. Some of them would come out and watch us, this big time, heavily, weighted matches going on between me and my son. But But after a little bit and things started to open up a little bit more, actually, I was able to go out to a real golf course. And so that kind of was something that definitely was something I liked that I was able to do, and honestly helped me a lot getting through, was being able to go play golf and to do it safely and feel like there was some sense of normalcy going on. Other than that, I've done a lot of reading and just tried to, you know, prepare and look up things that were going to help me be a better coach. Obviously, try to read things that are going to help me be a better leader for our basketball team and help them deal psychologically and socially through all that we're going through right now. So a lot of it was just trying to, one, be better of myself, but then also read things that were going to help me be a better leader for our team.
So, what have been some things that you enjoy doing in town? Any traditions, restaurants, or whether it's the battlefields?
Yeah. Boy, I love a lot about Gettysburg. I love the outdoor activities. You know, we've done a lot of hiking as a family in the local area. You know, the Appalachian Trail is not that far away, and there's a lot of other trails that are right around that area over there. And so that's something that we like to do. Obviously, going to hike and walk around the back of battlefields as well. When we get company coming in, that's usually what we do is we take them around. I've learned a lot about the Battle of Gettysburg, and that's been, I guess, a really nice thing because, you know, when people come, they want to know stuff. And so we're kind of like their resident experts, and by no means are we experts, but we do our best to kind of show people around. Gettysburg as a community and as a town is just a neat town. It reminds me a lot of where I'm from, and so just that small town feel where, you know, there's a lot of you know, stores that are right on this, you know, downtown streets that you can go in and out of, a lot of, you know, shops that are, you know, run by local people. And then obviously there's a lot of tourism areas, a lot of restaurant options. So there's a lot of things that we just love about being downtown and being able to walk around. And so we try to, you know, experience that as much as we possibly can. And then the proximity to some other bigger cities is nice too. You know, we've taken trips down to Washington, D.C., to sightsee and to go see, you know, the monuments and the museums and those kind of things. We've gone to Baltimore a few times for restaurants and then go to the Inner Harbor. And so we've tried to make the most of the location as well, to just be able to use that as a kind of a starting off point to go see some areas of the country that maybe we wouldn't have otherwise get to see. So we've definitely done some driving to some remotely close places.
Well, that's awesome. And that's all that I have for you today, Nate. So thank you so much for joining and talking about the women's basketball program and everything in between. So for Nate, I'm Jen Maurer, and make sure to stay tuned next week to see who we will be featuring next in Bullets Athletic Spotlight.
Thanks, Jen. Appreciate it. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk this morning.
Oh, absolutely.